Oh, hello there, friend. Welcome to the fire. You know how that old saying goes, don't judge a book by its cover. So, don't immediately judge someone by their lifestyle. Like in this story titled, Despite not doing anything out of line, DM kicked me for admitting being a furry. r/RPG horror stories, posted by Koopa-kun. This happened to me last year. The group I used to play with got disbanded for several real-life reasons after playing our campaign for 3 years and a half. After a month of a break, I decided to find a group online to play 5e. I found a group that seems to fit my playstyle, which is pretty laid back and silly, but still played serious where the situation needed to be. The sessions were around 4 hours, give or take, and we got along nicely. At least, that is what I thought. The bard half-orc had an accordion which he played a ranchera norteño music. If you don't know what that is, just look on YouTube Red vs. Blue Warthog music. The barbarian Dragonborn had an obsession with challenging people to slap competitions. I was playing a pirate dwarf Tempest domain cleric who likes to sing even though he's really bad at it, and he only drinks rum. The kobold rogue and the human wizard didn't have any silly quirks, although the kobold did his best to speak in third person all the time, even though he forgets to do it sometimes, and the wizard was an antisocial nerd which we voted to be our spokesperson to get him out of his comfort zone. The PC, not the player. The player was actually pretty extroverted. We were a bunch of weirdos, and the DM followed along in our stupidity, and we all laughed and had fun. At least, that's what I thought. On our third session, we left off almost at the end of the dungeon of the quest, and now we are about to face the first boss. It was an illusion wizard. His gimmick was all about tricking the eyes, so he had a colorful patterned robe. In the DM's own words, this guy was able to put a fully functional kaleidoscope pattern in his robe. I don't remember who, but one of the players said,
This guy is 3 steps away from being a fursuiter.
you know, because the stereotypes of a fursona tend to have eye-bleeding bright neon color patterns. I seem to recall a couple of people not getting the joke, cause even though I heard laughs, it wasn't from everyone. But we seemed to be still having a good time. So I added out of character, oh, then I should be able to reason with him. Trust me, I'm a furry. Someone did a ooh joke and obviously sarcastically saying that I'm gonna ruin the game. After the joking time settled, the DM asked me, are you really a furry? To which I reply that I am, not thinking much of it. The DM continues the game, RPing as the colorful boss, doing a final boss monologue. After that, the DM called for a break. Now, breaks on sessions were expected. That's what the DM put on his Roll20 description, but they were expected after the 2-hour mark. We were only in game for about 40 minutes. Not only that, but the breaks were supposed to be for 10 minutes. After 30 minutes of break, the DM finally called the session off without giving us a reason. We thought he was in a hurry, so we decided to leave him alone and ask what happened the next day. Later that night, I received a message from the DM telling me, I'm sorry, OP, but after reviewing these 4 sessions, I concluded that your playstyle is not gonna fit in my campaign in the long run. So, for that reason, You won't be in the campaign anymore. Thank you for your time. Now, I would be a little disappointed and a little sad that I was no longer welcome in the campaign since I was having a lot of fun. But what tipped me off is after that message, without giving me time to reply, DM just kicked me from the server, the campaign, and blocked me. Next day, I got a message from one of the players telling me that DM was a jerk, doing a god-awful job of trying to paint everything I did as cringy and raising a bunch of non-existent red flags, really stretching his reasons on why I was a danger to the campaign. He even said that I threw a temper tantrum when he gave me the reasons I was gonna be kicked. After that, he said that everyone left except for the Cobalt player, siding with DM, saying that he watched a bunch of YouTube videos of RPG horror stories saying that furries ruin games 100%. May I remind you that I wasn't even playing a furry race. I was playing a dwarf. Heck, the half-orc bard was the flirty one. 'Cause of course it is. But no one minded that. I even asked the guy who contacted me if I was doing anything cringy or creepy, and he told me not at all. So, it was just a DM going at me cause I admitted to be a furry and nothing more, as if that was enough to be an awful player. Okay, I know that we furries can be a little bit quirky. Yeah, and I'm not saying that everyone will behave at the table. I mean, these horror stories about furries do exist. But just like most of the negative stuff in fandoms, those are a very loud minority, and these types of places will highlight them cause it's funny. I guess a lot of people here are aware of this, but please give people the benefit of the doubt. Don't segregate people more than we already are. Well, that DM definitely had some preconceived bias and torpedoed their own game. Yeah, it's a pretty shitty mindset to have. Oh, I heard that such and such people are like X. That must mean everyone that's such and such are bad people. Ugh, that's just ignorant. And yes, there are a lot of RPG horror stories out there about furries causing problems at games. But judge those on the actions of that particular individual and not everyone in the community. Also, I want to point out that it's not always a sexual thing for people in the furry community. It's like how not everyone in the TTRPG community plays D&D. And if it is, don't kink shame. Don't yuck someone's yum. As long as an individual isn't causing problems in-game, don't make it a problem. I hope OP finds a more welcoming and accepting table. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. And would you kindly follow the socials posted in the description below. As always, be good, be great, be awesome.